In our previous episodes, we've discussed the pros and cons of using an agent versus going solo, as well as how to prepare your home for sale. But what if you're also planning to buy once you sell? This episode will guide you through the essential steps to get ready to meet with a mortgage broker. Welcome back to Outside In with Zoe. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Suzanne Luquero from Xela Financial. With over 15 years of experience, her mission is to demystify the overwhelming world of finance and empower clients to make informed decisions and guide them towards achieving their financial goals. Today, Susanna will share the essential steps buyers should take before applying for a mortgage, from assessing your financial position to preparing necessary documents. She'll walk us through everything needed to make the financing process smooth as possible. Hi everyone, we're here with Suzanne Luquero from Xela Financial, talking today about everything you should do to get pre-approval for your loan to buy a house. So Susanna, welcome. Thanks for coming today, and let's get right into it.
Thanks for having me.
I'd love for you first to tell everybody a bit about yourself and your story and how Xela started, because I know you have 15 years of industry experience.
I do.
So
I've been in finance and the finance industry for over 15 years. Started in the UK in the Inland Revenue.
I can hear that. No.
And then when I moved across to Australia, I started in the banking. So it seems like a million years ago, I actually was setting up telephone banking.
Oh.
So before internet banking, setting up telephone banking, so it was all very new, still when people were sending faxes. I made my way through the lending sectors, worked with the first homeowners team when the grants were 21,000.
Wow. I'd love that right now.
Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah.
So many would.
Yeah.
Worked through different lending areas, and then I actually had a friend who was a broker, and I thought, oh, she's got a glamorous life. She's works her own hours, and she's networking, and she's a strong, independent woman. And I thought, as a single mom, I was like, oh, I want to do that. And I started in mortgage broking, and it was a lot more than what it seemed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like even now I'm like, oh, I want to be a broker. That sounds cool. Although just going through a refinancing, I would say, oh, that sounds horrible. And having to deal with me as well. Anyway.
It can be challenging, and what seems like flexibility can also be really late nights, calls from clients on weekends, because a lot of it is managing emotions, as you know. Wanting to put your offer in can be, very emotional, especially when you've got your dream house in front of you. I quickly learned that it wasn't what it seemed, but it is amazing. I love helping people achieve their goals. And then, so I've moved through a few different brokerages, worked with excellent brokers in the field, and then 2 years ago, 2.5, created Xela, so my own company. So now working with a brand that's really close to my heart.
Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I don't want to make you...
Without me crying.
Yeah, or me, because
Yeah, so Xela, Xela, pronounced differently to Xela.
Yeah, I know, it took me a while.
I created the company after my brother, so December 21, my life changed when I lost my brother.
Yeah.
And the brokerage I was working with and the clients I was working with were great. I just pretty much handed them over. And the great thing about being a broker, it's so emotional that your clients become your friends. So there was no judgment, and I know they were well cared for my other broker I was working with. And I decided in that moment that I would go out on my own. And Alex had actually just been accepted into university to be an accountant himself. So it was perfect. And now I have my brother with me every day.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. And it was an amazing experience, really, because I thought, what am I going to do here? But I had him with me, and I was creating my brand, working on the logo. I hyper-focused on that.
Yeah.
And my clients stuck with me. So when I did open up again, my retained clients came to me, and it was so beautiful because they trusted me in really quite a dark time. They still trusted me to do the right thing for their finances. And as you know, it's emotional. You want to make sure that you're getting the best advice. And here I was pretty broken, and they were still asking me to help them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that you started a company after the loss of your brother. But
Crazy.
throwing yourself in there and keeping busy, I guess, would have also been a godsend. And I think he would be looking over you, going, "Yeah, you go, girl. That's awesome." So I'm super happy to have you here today and talking to you as the owner of your own company now, not working for somebody else. It's definitely inspired by someone. So that's amazing.
It's a good feeling. It was the right next step.
Yeah.
So we've been. Well, can I say enjoying it? Not that first bit, but watching it grow into my own. It's been really good.
Oh, that's so good and amazing. So good. Well, let's help some more people, shall we?
Definitely.
Because the whole point of this podcast is to get people into their own homes, and never has it been harder for somebody to buy a home. So really, Outside In is really designed to bring the insider knowledge to everybody so that they can put themselves in the best position to buy a house.
Yeah.
And obviously, a mortgage broker is one of those first people that they should speak to before going to buy a house. So I guess I'm going to ask you, why should I, as somebody wants to buy a house, get pre-approval?
Yeah. So I think we can look at it from a couple of different angles. So I am very client focused, and I do work with my clients on those emotional levels. So the first thing would be knowing your own position. So knowing where you stand. So houses at the moment are not coming with a price tag, or even with a guide. So you're out there blind, looking at things, say, well, that looks nice. This is my dream home. I love the look of that. And then all of a sudden you go, and it's quite disheartening when your offer's not even looked at. So, that's not in the seller's range.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden people think, oh, I can't get a mortgage. But you can, it's just maybe not that particular property. Yeah. So when I'm working with clients, knowing their budget is really helpful. Bank can look at their servicing. So we have a look at income versus outgoings. So that's one thing, servicing, but also I look at kind of the lifestyle servicing as well. Yeah. So the bank might say you're in a brilliant position, we're going to lend you $1 million. You think, oh, that's great, I can borrow $1 million. But we actually have to pay that back. Yes. So, okay, you might be in a position, but when we're looking at your repayments, actually purchasing for $700 is probably within my lifestyle budget. Yeah. Because those repayments I can manage personally. Yes. So that way, when you're going for the property, you say, okay, well, I know what my maximum offer can be, and I know what my lifestyle offer can be. Yes. And I think that really helps. Yeah. And I guess, well, pre-approval from that point of view, knowing what you can spend. Yeah. That's super important to know. And I guess even now, obviously I'm now a registered buyer's agent as well. I would say that, thank you. I would also say that then looking within that range, or, speaking to a buyer's agent, and they will act on your behalf to go and find the properties that are within that range and negotiate on your behalf within that range. So you still have a life too, and that you're not operating outside of that. Because I think there would probably be a lot of people who, prior to all the rate rises, did go out and buy, and all the rate rises happened thinking that wasn't going to happen for a while. If they did go into that upper, like what you said, that upper area, it wouldn't be such a great time right now. And I do talk about that. So that's something that I have long conversations with, is what is your maximum is not always what is the best for you. Yeah. Those rate rises, when people were coming off the fixed rates at 2% and then coming onto much higher variable rates, has been quite crippling. Yeah. And they're in a position where they can't refinance because their income doesn't support the higher rate, so they're stuck. Yeah. Really stuck. Yeah. Also, working with your buyer's agent and your real estate agents and the rest of your finance and property team, it means as well, if you've got your pre-approval in place, if the seller's like, oh, we want a little bit more, it's like, oh, can I go 5 more? Can I go 10 more? Yeah. Because some clients call me, and what I mentioned before, weekend calls and late at night, can I just put an extra 5,000 in? Shall I do it? It's like 5,000 in the grand scheme of things over 30 years is not a lot, but can you do it? And if you've got the pre-approval there, you know already that you can.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And it does, so we'll step back into the buyer's agent hat again. It does put you ahead. So as you said, we do work together with somebody's mortgage broker and or the selling agent to find that and negotiate that best price. But a cash offer, we're talking about it being then a cash offer.
Yeah.
So I guess we could talk about the difference between what type of offers we have. We've got cash offer, subject to sale, subject to finance. And if you're subject to finance compared to a cash offer, if you've got 11 other offers, you're going to be a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get that property, but it does put you ahead.
Yeah. And I do explain that to my clients as well. You know, if you've got 2 offers sitting there, they're exactly the same. One's got pre-approval, one doesn't.
Yeah.
Or at the very least spoken to a broker and had them review their finances.
Yeah.
I do explain that the seller's going to look at them differently than what they have as just someone that's just come in and they've come to as a home open and they've seen it.
Yeah.
Would you agree there?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And selling agent is acting for the seller. So they want the best turnaround in the best time for them. So for them, if you put their hat on, they're just going, okay, I want the one that's going to be easy, that's done. A subject to sale means I have to then, chips have to fall down. It's just hard. So we'll go through those different offers in other episodes actually in greater detail and maybe how to work through them because obviously there is ways. And bridging finance, let's leave all of that away for today. But so I guess that's really, why to get pre-approval. Yeah. But now let's go into so I'm thinking I need to get pre-approval. I really want to start looking for a house. But what should I do to my finances? Is there a way for me to, I don't want to say cheat the game, but I do want to say, how do I make myself look pretty for the banks when I'm going to get pre-approval? Because I'm sure having a whole bunch of afterpays, a tax bill, a few other things might not look so good. Yeah. And perhaps, do you want to talk us through that step?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing that I probably say is take advice from your broker.
So you're saying see a broker first because what if I start to do all these things, but okay, so you're not going to air my dirty laundry, are you?
No. So that's why I say speak to your broker first because a lot of people have the same thought as you. Oh, I need to make myself look prettier before I speak to my broker. Okay. But broker, we really need to just know everything. Yeah. So tell us everything, all the dirty bits, and then we can work with you from there. So the things are changing, but there is an idea here. I've banked with the same bank for 20 years. I'm going to go to them, and I won't get, and then I'm not approved with them.
Used to be me.
And not all lenders need everything. You tell us the information, and then the lenders have different policies and different niches and different products, and we find a box for you to fit into. Okay,
and so it's kind of like a psychiatrist. But for my finances, right? You don't tell a bank anything until I let you, really. Is that right? Or until we've signed off and say, okay. Yeah. And do you then work with me to clean up my afterpays and say, okay, I think you should go away and come back in 3 months' time, go pay your tax debt, go get on a payment plan, go pay off your afterpays and clean that up and shut that down. Yeah. Do you do, how would you, okay, say I did come to you. Let's do a role play, pick up the phone,
So if you came to me, the first that I'm going to do is have a real conversation about your situation before I've even gathered any documents from you. Yeah. And we're going to chat about your employment, your spending habits, your savings. Then when I get your documentation, I'm going to have so this is your statements, maybe an employer's letter or your contract to see where you are. And then I'll have to talk to you then and see if you're ready to go forward. If you're nearly there, and I'll explain to you then what not to change. So don't change your employer. So I do get this. So sometimes people say, oh yeah, I've changed my employer, but I'm earning an extra 20,000. But actually, you've now gone from full-time to casual, which the bank looks differently at. Yep. Or your base salary's gone down and you now get allowances, which the bank looks differently at. So from what it might seem on paper to you, speaking to us first, if there's any changes, is the best thing to do. looking at your savings history. So if you've got genuine savings, or if you've got a gift, or perhaps you have a guarantor working with you on that as well. So talking to your broker is the main step. Then we're having a look at your statements.
I think we should tell people a little bit about how to be a little bit healthy as well.
Yeah,
so
I'm almost there.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget that. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, that's okay. No, don't be my bad. You're just so eager.
I know. I'm so excited to know the inside, the inside out.
And then, looking at your statements. So that's kind of looking for your stability. And then we're having a look at your spending habits. So you mentioned Afterpay a couple of times.
Yes.
So it's obviously on your mind.
I shut it down, but I know it's big.
So Afterpay is okay, and EasyPay is okay. But people just think that it's there. I pay it in small portions, and it's not a real loan, but it is. The bank look at it like that. So, for example, with your Afterpay, like I like it as well. I buy a pair of shoes and I pay for it bit by bit. But then when we're looking at your living expenses and you're saying, I'm only spending $100 a month on shoes, clothes, whatever, but your Afterpay is telling a different story. So that's where you do need to be a bit mindful there as well. Probably discretionary items as well. So entertainment, travel, Christmas when we're on break and, we're heading out socializing can be a big one. But if you're actually working with a broker, so if you just turned up to the bank and you didn't know, the bank might say, oh, you're not a client for us. But if you're working with a broker can, guide you, but also give good notes to the bank. So before I lodge an application, it can take quite a bit of time to get there because I write almost like a case study on you of your employment.
Scary.
Yeah. Yeah, no judgment though.
You are like a psychiatrist, but for finances.
So we mentioned there about your employment. We spoke about your savings history or where your deposit's coming from. But one thing I do mention is your notes. My notes mention your spending and also your credit file. So your spending, if let's say you're applying around at Christmas time, so I'm from the UK, I have family come and visit, and then I'm going out with them. I can write in there, okay, this month might look a lot more, but it's because there's family visiting. So if you've got an assessor there and your file is not too complex, and by complex, I mean, if you've got 2% deposit and, you're a little, I don't like to use the word higher risk, but you're higher risk to the bank, then they might not accept the notes as well. But I put the notes in there to try and get the assessor to say, okay, well, that's a one-off. We're not gonna look at all those Dan Murphys over December. I'll also write notes on the credit file. So the credit file is quite important. So if you're applying for a lot of loans, whether it be the buy now, pay later, credit cards, car loans, all of those go onto your credit file as an inquiry, whether you take them or not. Ooh. So when we first meet, I'll have a look at your credit file, and if it's busy, I'll say, please do not apply for anything else. Even online, looking to see what your rate can actually be a hit on your credit file, and people don't know that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I try and stay away from that anyway because I don't want to know.
Yeah, so
no,
if you're just inquiring, it can still come up as a hit.
Yeah.
And for the bank, then they say, why are they looking for all of this credit? Can they not manage their money?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it also works as well with existing credit. So on your bank statements, if you've got misdirect debits, people know that's not good. Yeah. But one thing that is overlooked is honor fees. So you've got direct debits going out. Yeah. And you've got no money in this account, but you've got money in this one. The honor fee is being charged and the payment's going through. Yeah. Some clients think, but I had the money in the other account. Yes. Well, you actually need it in the account that it's coming out of, because the bank seem to go, well, how do we know that you're going to have the money there to pay the mortgage? If you've got the money there, you just can't even transfer it into the other account.
Yes.
Yeah.
My husband taught me a trick for that. I don't know if it works for you, but use your credit card number all the time. Never use your BSB and account number.
All right. Yeah.
Because then it never does that. Because
as long as you're not maxed out.
Correct. But yes. Okay. Well, that's a whole nother episode again, right? But yes, no. But also then but it never does the dishonour.
Ah,
it doesn't,
yeah.
it just declines. It doesn't dishonour from your bank account. So even if
Yeah.
it was maxed out, it doesn't do the same reaction.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a big one. Because like we switched from, I was doing that, and because you've got so many like offset accounts,
Yeah.
sometimes like also our friends got hacked. So we only have the right amount for our bills in one account and the right amount for whatever. And sometimes that top up hasn't happened in time, and that happened a couple of times, and we had a $5 dishonour fee or whatever, and
Yeah.
it took it from the other account. So I get it. But then when I switched to credit card, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, or even the credit card number from your debit card.
And I mean, what you've just said there, if you're talking to your broker and you're being open and
Yes.
honest, and your broker's looking at your statements, that's all fine.
Okay,
It can
yes.
be covered off in your notes.
Yeah.
And it really comes down to the client's situation, because if everything else is perfect and the notes say, oh, it was in that account,
Yeah.
or perhaps, you took ill, or myself, I lost my brother, there's a reason behind it. The assessors are people. They can read the notes and they can see.
Yeah.
But if you've got a lot of other factors, and
Yeah.
then that might just be the one that tips it over the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But coming back to pre-approval, if you are looking for a pre-approval, your broker can pick these things up early.
Yeah.
So you can say, oh, actually, you've got a couple of things that might be a risk here.
Yeah.
I don't think you're in a position for a pre-approval right now. But if you do X, Y, and Z, let's revisit in 3 months, and you can go and do it then.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. I feel like, and I think we've touched on it a bit today, but it's really come out as you've been talking, is money is such a, it's a scary thing for people. It is like seeing someone, to talk about, you talk about your finances, you talk about these things. And almost when I go and see my mortgage broker, I'm scared to tell her everything. But then when she asked me to upload my bank statements, I'm like, oh, she's going to see everything.
We know it anyway.
Yeah. I was like, so I'm like, oh, she knows everything. She knows I bought that shoe. And I was like, oh, I better tell you, we went to Bali. She's like, I know you went to Bali. I can see that all there,
Yeah.
So I guess it is about having a good relationship with your broker. Really, you have to trust them implicitly. And, obviously, you know everything about me. You know where I went on the weekend, or, all those things, and you're going to compile it for the bank. So,
And I promise you that your broker will not judge you. And I have clients, because my clients all become my friends, and they say, oh, you must remember when you saw in my statement I did this. This is a year after they've settled. I say, I don't remember. I don't remember what you were doing.
Yeah.
I remember for a while you're with me, and outside of that, I'm remembering someone else.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's no judgment. To be honest, the less you tell us, we probably judge you more, because the less you tell us, the harder our job becomes.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, yeah, well, it's also, I guess you got to tell people, don't be ashamed. Everybody's friends. Everybody does this stuff.
Yeah.
And working with your mortgage broker about your money is a great way to get yourself in a good position to buy and or to set your goals. I'm sorry, I haven't used you. I've used somebody else, and but we
That's
move
fine.
around. Sorry, we had another lady that we've used, and she's worked with us on a big goal, which is the same as what you do for everyone. It's like, okay, you want to buy or upsize this house, you need to do this and put yourself in this position, and we can work with the bank to cash out some equity here. And that's, refinancing, we'll talk about that in a whole nother episode as well. But just to get us in the house, that was a hustle. It really was. But she really went over and above, and I know that's what you do too. I know you've worked with all of our friend groups, so that is amazing. Actually, I didn't say that we know each other through my husband, and you guys have known each other forever. And he actually, I forgot to tell him that I was interviewing you today, and he laughed, and he's like, oh, that's so great, with Susanna. And I was like, yeah, I get to spend the morning with her.
Yeah, it's lovely to be here.
Yeah.
But you did just mention something then that I probably want to touch on as well. So I know we're talking about being mortgage ready, putting yourself in the best situation, but I wouldn't hold back though, even if you think, okay, I don't like to use the word risk again. I just mentioned it before, but you're a higher risk to the bank.
Yeah.
You might not be able to get the most competitive interest rate, but I wouldn't say don't go onto the property market just because of that, because prices are increasing. Situations are always changing. If I do have a client with a complex application and they don't fit some of the standard boxes and the rate is higher, I say let's get on the higher rate. We can review this again. We can refinance 12 months,
Yeah.
24 months, 36, whenever your situation changes. Because for me, I think you're better off being in your own house, paying your own mortgage and having a higher rate than paying someone else's mortgage and paying rent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what, actually, I think we've almost covered off, because I really wanted to talk today about, what should I clean up and the lending criteria, which I think we've kind of gone through. But my third one would be now talking about, I want to create a new one. I want to sort of talk about, if you are thinking about going to buy a property, especially in Perth, go see a broker now. Like, even if it's in the next 5 years, and maybe, have a coffee with a buyer's agent or someone, because we don't know where the market's going to go. And in our first episode, we sort of touched on that agent versus no agent. No one's got the magic ball to say, this is where the market's going to go. So it's good to go and look, to see where you are, to see what you can do, and to watch the market. If that's something within even the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years you're thinking about, to get out there and make yourself aware of, what's there, what you're comfortable with, how you can get your finances together, what your goal is, to have those sorts of goals and be ready. And you never know how it can come about. I just heard of someone getting a loan yesterday, or increasing their capacity by buying in with their sister who's already got a house, or, there's ways to hustle, there's ways to get it over the line. But we just don't want people in Perth or WA to be locked out of the market.
Yeah.
And that would be really sad. So I think the number one thing is, from today, go and see a broker. Just see where you sit, get yourself financially clean and healthy, and don't be afraid of what's there, because you'll work through it with someone.
And you mentioned something really good there. You said about, buying with their sister. Is even when you are speaking with your broker, just have conversations, but tell them about your situation, because, one thing, looking at employment and savings and credit file and afterpay.
The dirty afterpay, but it's actually not so bad. You've made me realise.
Who's your financial, have you got any financial support there? You've got other family members, what are their goals? Because a broker will be able to think, okay, well, let's see if we can go explore other avenues. Guarantors are always an option as well. Yeah, but you probably cover that on another session.
Well, we can touch on it now. But I guess that would come up when somebody comes to you in their first, what's on offer to you? Like, how can we get this over the line? And I know, many, even some of my family have used guarantors in that first bit, because you don't pay.
So it's a lender's mortgage insurance.
That's right, lender's mortgage insurance. Yes, that's right.
So when I was mentioning the bank look at risk, it just takes some of that out of it.
De-risks it, because you've got mum and dad's house as equity, or whoever. Does it have to be, though, mum and dad? Because I thought we've...
Majority of lenders would like a parent. There are some lenders out there with some other options, but majority is a parent. Okay. Well, that's actually good to consider. Yeah, because also a gift can minimise it as well. And that can be, you just need a stat deck to say that the gift is non-refundable. And it just minimises the risk. But it's all about minimising risk, whether it be with a deposit, with your employment, or looking at your spending. Because the banks, I think sometimes people think, the bank's not helping me. But the bank is a business.
Yes. They are a big, big business. Now, there's two more things I want to touch on some of those banks that we're all seeing in our feeds at the minute. They seem to be like not physical, 2% banks, or have you seen them, online banks? What's your professional opinion, not like of those, and do you use them in your catalogue of banks? Are they one of the options? And that seems to be a new thing that's popped up. What's your sort of take on that? So I don't have any 2% banks, a 2% interest rate or 2% deposit. Wait there, let me just clarify. I think it was a 2% deposit, but I've seen some very low rate. They also have a low rate, very low rate loan option for homes and first home buyers.
So there are some 2% deposit options out there. So some of the government schemes to help first home buyers or families coming into the market. But in regards to interest rates, I mean, there's some of the banks have adopted some fixed rates in the 5% mark. So I think, 5% mark is where it's going to. And if your interest rate doesn't have a 5 in front of it, then you should be speaking to your broker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of those online banks that you're talking about, we've got a range. We've got lots of
That you deal
different
with,
lenders, but it would really just come down to your personal circumstances, because I think these ones, when they're marketed online like that, it's marketing.
Yes.
Yeah, their policies might not fit your needs.
Yes.
Because it's all about finding a policy that fits your circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, go see a broker.
Yeah.
I did want to say that just because I see them all the time, and I feel like with a good marketing campaign, there must be some people going there, but I don't know what they're about or where they've come from, and what. So
I mean,
guess there's need in market, but
what I would say about digital and online banking is a lot of branches are closing because people aren't going into branches anymore. So it used to be the big four were the main banks to go to, and then your second tier lenders, and then there's definitely a third tier lenders. And I feel they all have a place, but for the right person.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And now I guess there is so we've got like different lenders. We've touched on them, and we've also got different people applying. Now, I did come across a couple recently, and he was a plumber with his own business and hadn't done his tax in a few years. And she works for government, stable job, but what advice would you have for somebody who's like, not done their tax and owns their own business with obviously a partner who does have theirs, and they had a dependent, like they obviously, because that's a different, I'm going to say they have to see, oh dear, oh that must be our next guest.
That's the plumber ringing.
Yeah, can we take that out? Oh, we're good? Okay, good, okay.
Are we paused?
Are we paused? Oh, keep going, okay.
If we're... Can I say something or?
Yeah, just say, yeah.
No, you're all good to go. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say some. Are we recording again?
How are we at the 45 minutes yet, or where are we at?
You got about 15 minutes till hit 45.
I was just going
Okay,
to say I'm not going to go into self-employed too much because it's quite complex. But
Oh, do you want to? Can we cut that bit out then?
Yeah, we'll be cutting this in post
Yeah.
anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah. So let's do that.
because it can be really varied depending on the company structure. Is it a trust? Is it a company? Is
I
it a
think
sole
just say
trader?
that. I think we'll leave that in. I
Yeah.
just want you to, because that's a lot of people
Yeah.
who are afraid to go to a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
So again, just direct them back to a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then just say, oh, that's very true. Just
Yeah.
answer it because it's a
Yeah.
question people want to know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we'll go again with that question, Fraser. Is that good? So, Susanna, I did have a potential client a few weeks ago, and they had a very tricky situation. He's a plumber, owns his own business, and they have. She has a stable full-time job. They have a dependent. But what advice would you have for someone like that? Like, I know that's quite tricky when you own your own business. Like, would you just say, come and you take it away? What would you say? Because I think he hadn't done his tax in a little while. There's stuff to do. It's a bit tricky. It's all a little bit tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, if they own their own business, that's fine. We can work with all clients, all different kinds of employment. The tax thing, though, might be a bit tricky. So it depends on the setup. Is he a sole trader? Is he a company or a trust? How long has he not done his tax for? So I probably would say, for anybody really, starting with like building your property and your financial team. So a broker is one of the team. Like yourself, buyer's agents is another part of your team. But if you're self-employed, you definitely need to be looking to your accountant as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And your accountant and your broker should be working together as well.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
So you do work with accountants too, and make sure that's all good.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
if you've
fantastic. I didn't know that. Well,
and financial planners as well. So I mean, if you've got a first home buyer, their goal is just getting onto the market. But, if you've got someone that's looking to build their portfolio, they may speak to their financial planner, and we can structure the application in the way that they've been advised by their financial planner.
We deal with a lot of people in that regard, especially, self-managed super funds, buying properties, making sure they've got the right rental return. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And just to know that you are working with all those people, like, together, obviously, and with the buyer's agent too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And being able to go and put an offer in and know that you're all good and clear and you've had the tick of approval from your broker. I guess in another episode, we're going to touch on that actual process, which can be it can take a little bit more time from, way to the finish.
Yeah.
Actually, I think maybe we could talk a bit about it today, actually, and how you would guide somebody through, because I think we've got a little bit more time. So for me, if I do go and put an offer in on a house or one of my clients, how then are you available and working with that person when they go through that process?
Yeah. So have they got pre-approval already?
Let's say they do, because we've already talked about how beneficial that would be.
That makes it a lot smoother.
Yeah, that would be so good. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I mean, if they've put their offer in on a place and accepted on a Saturday, let's say.
Yes.
And
Lots happens on a Saturday
a lot
in real
of
estate,
things
doesn't
happens
it?
on a Saturday,
Yeah.
which is why pre-approval is good.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm frantically doing numbers to see if you can go up another 5,000.
Oh, so you have done that, yes.
Often.
Oh,
yeah.
and that when they don't have approval and you're like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And so you can almost sort of say, if I didn't have pre-approval and I did put the offer in, well, you're not gonna be able to do that. And then what happens? Do I retract my offer, or because I've put in subject to finance then?
Yeah, so
not subject to sale.
Yeah, so subject to finance approval. So I'm even if there's a pre-approval in place, because I don't actually know if we covered this, so maybe I'll just mention this. So I think we're probably going to cover it now with the process. So pre-approval, stepping backwards and forwards.
Oh, it's fine.
So I always say put down subject to finance approval, whether you've got the pre-approval there or not in place, because if their offer is accepted, it still needs another check by the bank because you've been pre-approved on the application that you've lodged.
Yeah.
But if your pre-approval has been sitting there for 2 months, the bank just needs to make sure that your situation hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So coming back to what we said before, are you still in the same job?
Yeah.
Is your savings still there for your deposit?
Yeah.
Have you taken out any other loans? Because if you've taken out another loan in that time,
Yeah.
then you might not be able to borrow the same amount from the bank. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. And these are things that you would advise someone, though, when they've got pre-approval,
Yes,
right? You'd be
yeah.
like, okay, now, Zoe, you've got this pre-approval. Do not go and get a car loan, okay? Do not, go ham shopping and, all these things.
It's covered off quite in detail, so
good.
by me, but also by the bank as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long does a pre-approval last?
90 days.
90 days.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
ideally, I would be touching. Well, I talk to you also, and you got the pre. I can tell you, a client, if the property is available, they don't have a hold of it for 90 days. It like burns a hole in their pocket.
Yeah.
They need to go and find somewhere.
Yeah.
As long as there's a property available, of course. But
And that's been a problem lately, though.
yeah.
There's been a lot of people I know from yourself and other brokers applying for that pre-approval again and again and again.
Yeah.
Because they can't find a property. But that's when they should come and see a buyer's agent.
Yeah. I have been directing to buyer's agent like yourself.
Yeah.
More than I ever have.
Yeah.
Especially, you've got access to properties that, aren't out on the market, and
Yes.
you know where people want to be, and you can see, you can just help them. I've always liked buyer's agents, but I definitely feel more recently, like in the last 12 months, I know you're really beneficial.
Yeah. It's a fairly new thing in Perth, and I
Yeah.
would say previously, even a year or two ago,
Yeah.
probably people would not need one at all.
Yeah.
But whereas now I'd say there's a high number of real estate agents to properties. There's a low number of properties on market. It's definitely a seller's market. And having a buyer's agent in your pocket means you have our team of 6 people looking for you every day, going and letting you know what's there, seeing any pre-market opportunities and off-market opportunities, and then making sure that you're working with a mortgage broker so you're ready, and then that you've put in the offer in the right way. So, and I think just there's that nice, when a real estate agent's dealing with another registered agent, even that's representing the buyer, it's a different process because you understand what's happening and what's going, and you can talk your client through what's happening and how we can renegotiate and get it to the next place.
Yeah. And I think the quicker that you're in your own home and you're not paying rent,
Oh, yes.
you're saving money in the long run, even if you are engaging a buyer's agent.
Yes, I looked it up for my
Yeah.
area the other day, and
Yeah.
I was gobsmacked because it was like I swear it was only like $400 like a week,
Yeah.
not even two years ago, and now it's $720 a week, and I think that in Perth, WA, people are pretty gobsmacked how that sudden increase. I mean, if you're in Sydney and Melbourne, a 4% increase, 3% increase isn't a huge amount. They haven't really noticed. But here we've had like 21% increase in property prices. People are really going, it's not worth that. And it's like, because it's been so quick that it's shifted. So
Yeah.
I think there's a new realisation happening about where property sits now and
Yeah.
what that looks like. And that's going to take some adjusting, I think.
And again, the property is worth what you're willing to pay for it. So
That's true.
if it's in the perfect area or it's
true.
around the corner from your mum or whatever it is, if that's the way you want to be, that's what it's worth.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're just mentioning before what happens with the finance. So if your finance pre-approval's in place,
Yeah.
and your offer is accepted, that just rolls across onto a formal
Yeah.
approval, and then it's like any other
And
purchase.
then it's just the settlement date.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
But
we'll
I'm
talk
ju-
about that in another one too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm actually realising that this can all be one, almost episode, because once I've now got my pre-approval and I'm done, I'm pretty much good, right? And then you just align the settlement date, they get paid, and now I've got a whopping big amount minus in my bank account that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
Which is also scary. There's a whole nother thing on that, I think.
Yeah. I probably want to ask you a question though. So,
Yes.
so for the pre-approval, I mean, it definitely helps the buyers.
Yes.
But on the seller's side, I explained to my clients, just as emotional time it is for you, it's such as emotional time for the sellers as well. What do you think is the advantage of a pre-approval for a seller?
Well, it's faster, I think. And actually, there was another real estate agent in Perth that had a situation the other day, and I'll call her and tell her I've quoted her on this podcast. It was that somebody had put in an offer. They'd put in subject to finance, but it wasn't a subject to finance. It was a subject to sale. And they were trying to quickly sell their property, knowing that it's a seller's market. Within that time, everything sort of fell down. The buy that they had for their house took longer. Everything took a little bit longer. Then the seller had to wait an extra, 2 or 3 months for that to clear and retract. So it became quite messy. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't accept a subject to finance. I'm saying that a subject, that it's definitely cleaner if it's pre-approved and you've got that pre-approval cash offer. Definitely, the bank is there. It's within that time frame, because the bank gives you a letter, right, to say you're pre-approved
Yeah.
for a certain amount of money. They show you the letter. You know that they're all good to go. Maybe just pending that they haven't gone and bought a car or something like
Yeah.
that. That's of course, the number one preference.
Yeah.
And you don't know what sits behind a subject to finance. They haven't started that process yet.
Yeah.
So, number one key for the day, I think, in a seller's market would be to get yourself prepared and get yourself pre-approved. Go see a broker.
Yeah.
Find the right person for you. Actually, that's another great question. What should I be looking for when I'm searching for a broker? Because there is quite a lot of brokers out there. Didn't realise that there's a lot, but I guess everyone buys a home or something in their
Yeah.
lifetime, right? 1.5 in your lifetime. So we do need, a lot of brokers. But what should I be looking for when I'm looking for a broker?
Yeah, so honestly, we've all got access to the same rates. We've all got access to the same lenders. For me, it would come down to a broker that, and we're all meant to have your best interests, that needs in your interests, but come down to a broker that really gets you, really listens to you, and wants to know you and your goals.
Yeah.
That's what I would look for, and
Yeah.
that's hopefully what I do.
Yes, yes.
Some brokers will say, oh, you're not ready, come back to me when you're ready. But, you know, I would want a broker that would be coaching me through it and say, how are you going? You know, how's your after pay spending? Have you managed to close it yet? You know, you looking for a job that pays a higher salary because you wanted to get into this house. How are you going with your job hunting? Have you found another job yet? You know, I would look for a broker that's really invested in me. Yeah.
That sounds good. Well, as we've, you know, come to know, it's quite an in-depth and personal process. So we do want to make sure we have the best person on our team in that situation to work for me on my side for when I want to buy a house.
Yeah. Awesome. It's a lovely process.
Yeah.
Once approval comes through.
It can also cause anxiety, but we'll leave it at the lovely process it can be when you get that piece of paper in that house, and that's where we want to see everyone. And on that note, we'll go see your broker, get into your house. That's where we're going to leave it today. And thanks, Suzanne Luquero from Xela Financial.
Thank you.
For coming today. It's been so great to have you with us. And I guess the top 3 things we'll just roll through was why get pre-approval? What financial documentation do I need and the lending criteria? And how do I choose a broker for me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.